In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a very handy function in Google Sheets called VLOOKUP or vertical lookup. VLOOKUP is very useful for when you have large pieces or large data sets and you want to find only specific pieces of information. So if you had a lot of information about demographics, this would be helpful. To use VLOOKUP, you have to have a data set. So I put in some nutrition facts for some fruits, and we're going to use that for this example. This data table has many columns in it. You can do as few as 2 columns and go up to as many columns as you need or as many columns as your data set requires. So to use VLOOKUP, I'm going to go down below my data. It doesn't matter where your data lives in the sheet, but I have space below, so that's where I'm going to use it. I'm going to set up an example for this. So let's say I want to know some information about a particular fruit, but I don't want to know all the information. Let's say I'm going to want to find the calories for the fruit and then the fiber for the fruit. Now, I could look in my big data set and find that. However, there's probably a faster way, and that's where VLOOKUP is going to come into play. So I'm going to type my fruit in column B, and then I'm going to want the calories to come out in column C. Then I'll do fiber example after this. So in calories, I'm going to type equals VLOOKUP, and it should pop up pretty quickly. You'll see VLOOKUP is based on a few different things. First off, you have to tell it the search key. The search key is what it's looking for. So in this case, I'm going to be using the cell right next to this VLOOKUP function. Then it needs to know the range. The range is, well, where am I looking for the information? So that's your data set, your data table. The next one is the index. Index says, well, look at my big data table, but only give me what's in the second column or the third column, whatever index you choose. And then the last one is sorted. So you need to tell VLOOKUP whether your information is sorted a particular way or if it isn't. If you don't input this in, it assumes that it is sorted, and so that will change what your output is. If it's not, it won't look up the right thing. All right, so we're going to VLOOKUP, and I want to VLOOKUP fruit. So I want to look for the fruit in my data set. The range I want to look at is my entire table, so I'm just going to select my entire table all the way to, here we go, column M. And for calories, calories are located in the second column, so I'm going to look at index 2. And is sorted. My calories are certainly not sorted, so I'm going to say false. Alright, so right now it says NA, but that's because I don't have any fruit listed there. So if I were to select a fruit, I'm going to choose plums, type that in, and it gives me calories are 70. I can double check that in my table. Plums do in fact have a calorie amount of 70. So how would this look different for the fiber for my plums? Again, I'm going to use the VLOOKUP function. And again, I'm going to look for that cell, and I'm going to use the same range. It was A1 to M21. This time, though, I'm looking for fiber. And if I go over, fiber is in column G, which if we count, we get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the 7th column. And again, this is not sorted, so I'm going to say false. Now that tells me that plums have fiber of 2. You might want to have more than one fruit that you're looking for these things for, so you can copy your equation or you can copy your formula down. One thing that you need to remember, though, is that sheets like to make predictions for you. So they think, oh, if you're going to go down a cell, all the references should go down a cell. However, remember our data set isn't moving anywhere. So if you want to use VLOOKUP and then copy the formula, I always anchor my data set so that I can copy it up and down or even left and right. So now that I have it anchored, I have another video on that if you have some more questions about anchoring, and I can copy it down. I can do the same for my fiber. I'm going to go ahead and anchor it. And then and copy it down. Again, it's giving me that NA, but that's because I don't have any fruit listed. So this time I'm going to look at a lime. It tells me that there are 20 calories, and again, I have fiber of 2 grams. So that's how to use the VLOOKUP function in Google Sheets. There's also an HLOOKUP function that is similar, but it requires you to be looking horizontally as opposed to looking down a column. There's a few other tricks that you can do with VLOOKUP, but they probably require their own video. I highly suggest looking into using that function because it's very handy whether you are encoding information like my students have been doing, or whether you are just dealing with a large data set like this example here.